get on with the introduction of those who are going to be with us today as witnesses. Let me give Al Green, a member Al Green, the opportunity to introduce our first witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. Our first witness is a former city council person who went on to be a state senator, who is now a county commissioner, who is very well learned and knowledgeable about these issues associated with CDBG-DR. And I'm honored to introduce and present to everyone Commissioner Rodney Ellis.
Thank you, Congressman Green.
Yeah. Let me introduce all of the witnesses, and then we will move toward the question and answers after the chair comes in. We have also with us today Arananda M. Gardo Obert, Mr. Andrew N. Mayes, Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Insurance on behalf of the National Association of Insurance, Shelley Patacha, Chief Climate Strategist, and Stephen Ellis, President of Taxpayers for Common Sense. We will proceed with the statements, beginning with Commissioner Rodney Ellis.
Thank you, Chairman Cleaver, and a ranking member, Stivers as well, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you, Congressman Al Green, for your friendship over many years. I'm proud to testify today. I am Rodney Ellis. I represent about 1.1 million people in the third largest county in the country. City of Houston is our county seat. We have a total population of about 4.6 million people in our county. Harris County residents have long dealt with flooding and natural disasters due to our location near the Gulf of Mexico, our flat topography that barely rises above sea level. However, climate change is now adding a new level of urgency by increasing frequency of extreme weather events. In 2017, Harvey devastated this region. This hurricane dropped more than 50 inches of rain in some parts of Houston, causing more than 100 deaths, resulting in $125 billion worth of damage in the Gulf Coast region. Our residents are still dealing with the impacts of Hurricane Harvey. According to a University of Houston study, nearly 20% of the residents who were displaced by the storm are still in temporary housing. Natural disasters such as Harvey exacerbate pre-existing structural inequalities. A study by Rice University and University of Pittsburgh found that between 1999 and 2013, natural disasters increased Houston's racial wealth gap by $87,000. Time and time again, the poorest neighborhoods in Harris County are the hardest hit during storms, floods, and other natural disasters. But they receive the least amount of resources to recover, rebuild, and build resiliency against the next flood. The federal cost-benefit ratio flood standards for mitigation projects are based on property values rather than historical impact and ability to recover, which means low income, oftentimes Black and Hispanic communities like Fifth Ward, where Congressman Mickey Leland and Congresswoman Barbara Jordan hail from, have been passed over for federal funding for years, despite extreme flood protection in the area. This creates a cycle where those in higher income neighborhoods get access to funding for new projects, while certain neighborhoods continue to suffer from disinvestment. By prioritizing property over people, areas of high income values and fewer people are often selected over areas with larger populations living in expensive homes, even if they are at higher risk of flooding and greater damage to protect people in those communities. The state of Texas receives $4.2 billion from the Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Block Grant Mitigation Fund, which is administered by the state through our General Land Office to address infrastructure and build and implement structural and non-structural projects, programs, and partnerships that reduce the risk and impacts of future natural disasters. Although my county is very grateful for the sizable federal investments there are significant shortcomings in the administration of these programs, both at our level, on the state level, and the federal level. On the CDBG block grant discovery programs, an Urban Institute report found that implementation challenges and slow timelines are a problem. On average, programs took about 4.7 years to complete across all activity types and 3.8 years to complete across housing activities. This is reflected in several year delays at the General Land Office in Texas for disbursement of funds to Harris County. The slow response from the state's GLO to allocate and disperse funds means that communities are desperately waiting for help to rebuild their homes and lives years after Hurricane Harvey. Reducing the risk of harm from future flood requires bold control of infrastructure, policies, and regulations. Following Harvey, we successfully advocated on the county level for equity guidelines on how we disperse flood infrastructure and recovery projects. We passed a $2.5 billion bond package, which was approved by our voters in 2018. When we prioritize the most vulnerable, our investments create a big impact and bring more benefits to more people. As my written testimony has outlined, there are many challenges on the road to full recovery from Hurricane Harvey and preparing for future storms that we know will come more frequently. But there are steps that this subcommittee and HUD can take to support communities like Harris County and all across our country. The Texas Government General Land Office needs more oversight. So do we. It's a good thing for you to come back and ask, what are we doing with the money you gave us? To provide more transparent, comprehensive information on the approach that money is being dispersed through CDBG block grants. Mr. Chairman, I'll just add, I'd like to submit a letter to the record as well from my housing office. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Without objection. Thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Next,